Before we jump into the episode today, I want to share something with you from my heart. First of all, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I really can't tell you how much your support means to me. We've been doing the podcast now for almost 4 years. I can't even believe it. And I'm so grateful for each and every single one of you that listens, shares an episode with your friends, sends me a DM or a text message letting me know how an episode resonated with you or any aha moments. Seriously, I couldn't be more grateful to be able to create this podcast. It has been such a blessing in my life, and I love hearing the ways it's been able to provide value in yours as well. One thing you might not know is how much work it takes to be consistent with a podcast. In fact, did you know that the majority of podcasts don't make it past episode number 10? And we are well beyond that. And it's just a lot thinking of the episodes, recording them, editing them, managing the guests, making sure that everything runs smoothly and gets uploaded consistently and regularly. And so that's why I have created an amazing opportunity for you to support the podcast monetarily. And in exchange for that, you will get exclusive premium subscriber content. So for as little as $3 a month, you can become a premium subscriber of the podcast. And every month I will upload new voice-guided workouts and breathwork meditation audio for you. So that way you can work out with me, coaching you in your ears. You can also take a moment to reduce your stress and relax and come down and ground down with one of my breathwork audios. So if that is on your heart to support the podcast for as little as $3 a month to become a premium podcast subscriber, I can't tell you how much that means to me and the growth of this podcast. I appreciate you. If you're interested, click the link in the description, become a premium podcast subscriber, new content every month, and while supplies last, I'll send you an exclusive podcast coffee mug so you can have your self-love and sweat coffee every morning. I appreciate you. Now let's get into the show. Welcome to Self-Love and Sweat, the podcast, the place where you'll get inspired to live your life unapologetically, embrace your perfect imperfections, break down barriers, and do what sets your soul on fire. I'm your host, Lunden Souza. Hey, have you grabbed your free Self-Love and Sweat monthly calendar yet? This calendar is so amazing. It comes right in your inbox every single month to help you have a little nugget of wisdom, a sweaty workout, a mindset activity, just a little something to help keep you focused and motivated and keep that momentum towards your goals. So every day when you get this calendar, you'll see a link that you can click that will lead to a podcast episode or a workout or something that will be very powerful and quick to read. And then you'll also see on the top left corner of every single day, there's a little checkbox in the calendar. And what that is that's for your one thing. You can choose one thing every month, or it can be the same, something that you want to implement, and make this something that you can easily implement, like daily meditation or getting a certain amount of steps or water, for example, and staying hydrated, and even taking your supplements. This can be something if you want to get more regular doing a particular habit and routine, you can choose what that checkbox means. So if you want your Self-Love and Sweat free monthly calendar delivered right to your inbox every month on the first of the month, go to lifelikelondon.com/calendar, fill out the form really quickly, and you will have your calendar in your inbox within a few short minutes. That's lifelikelondon, lifelikelunden.com/calendar. Go get yours for free and enjoy this episode. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's guest is one of my faves ever. She's been on the show a bunch of times. Gia Sinatra is here with us today. Hi, Gia. How are you?
Hello. Good. How are you?
I'm excited to chat with you today. Gia is the creator, CEO, head honcho in charge of Gia IRL, her plus size clothing line. She's a plus size model. She's a hairstylist. She's my hairstylist. I'm so excited. I have an appointment with you this weekend on Saturday. My hair is in desperate need of some Gia love. But yeah, Gia's one of my fellow Scorpio sisters. Her and I have been friends for such a long time. And yeah, I'm just excited to have you here. How has this new year been for you so far? Do you feel like it's a new year? Or do you feel like, I don't know, what do you feel like?
I do, but I feel like I'm not feeling as like, woo, new year motivation yet. Like, I feel like it hasn't, like, I'm like, okay, this week, like, I don't know. I feel like how do I explain that? Yeah, I feel like I just haven't, I was going into it like new year, woohoo. And then now I haven't felt as like motivated as I would normally feel like starting a new year. I feel like I need to like really sit down and write out my goals. That always helps me, and like really be like, okay, what are we want to accomplish this year? Cause I feel like, yeah, like I took a little time off, but I've just been like working straight through from last year. So it definitely feels a little different for me this year.
Yeah, same. It feels different. Yeah, it feels different. For me too. Like it doesn't feel as like you said, like woohoo, like light and airy. Physically, normally a new year, I feel it like, I don't know, in my head, my heart, like up in that space. But now this year, I just really feel it like rooting, grounding. Like it was almost like, yeah, it wasn't like crossing a finish line or like, yeah, let's go, new year, whatever. And I don't think I've ever been, and I don't think, you know, we've ever been the person where it's like new year, new me. We've always like done our thing and like kept going. But for some reason, this new year just really did not feel like a new year at all. It was just like, nope, stay in the trenches, like stay focused on your goals, like keep doing the work, keep showing up. You're on the right path, but you still have a lot of work to go, a lot of work to do and a lot of like stuff to go through. So I really feel that way too. And yeah, it's just been kind of interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. I definitely feel like sitting down, really like taking time to write out my goals, maybe like do some journaling and some things. Actually, my best friend was in town this weekend and she was talking about this journaling. I forget what it's called, but you journal as if you write as if you've already accomplished. You might know about this. So you write as if like you've already accomplished, like, oh my God, like we sold like whatever, like we sold $1 million worth of inventory and like, it's so exciting and this is happening. And so you write as if like the things have already happened and you're in that moment of it happening to kind of like manifest. And I was like, oh, maybe like that would be good of like, I don't know, just, I feel like I need like a Gia day of where I just like self-care, write down my things and like focus on me. And I just have been like nonstop in work or like, and then my friend was in town and this and like, you know, all the things. And so I'm like, I need a me day where I really focus on my 2023 goals.
Yeah. I love that your friend suggested that. She's so sweet. I love her. It's such a good, I mean, I call it like the as if principle. It's like showing up as if it's already happened. You are already that. You are already there. And in our like manifestations and communications with the universe, like we can't be like, oh, I want to someday, maybe. It's like, no, I am. I sold this. I got this. I did this. And that's really important for me. And how I coach, it's like, that's the magnet. That's how you draw that life to you, not by being in separation and lack, but by being it now ahead of the actual experience. Because so many people, you know, wait for things outside of them to actually be happy and fulfilled. And it's so great to spend time in that feeling. Like you said, just having like a Gia love day, just like sitting and marinating in the feeling of what's it going to feel like when everything, you know, just flies off the shelf for Gia IRL, when you have these major milestones milestone moments, for inventory, all these different things. And yeah, for those of you listening, I mean, when we're recording this, it's January 9th. And so like no one says you have to start your new year gung ho on the first with all this clarity and all these things. I mean, here we are recording it. It's like 9 days into the new year. And you're saying like, yeah, I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to get there and I'm going to show up and, you know, write my goals down and do all those things. But for you, just, you know, as a friend to friend and also anybody listening, like that as if journaling is so helpful because there's moments where it's like, yeah, you don't always know when the finish line is coming. I mean, we never really do, right? Sometimes things can happen overnight. Sometimes things take a little bit more time. But when we can be grateful and get into that feeling, it's just, yeah, it's so powerful and it's so magnetic. In fact, one of the words or like the phrases that's been coming up for me is like, I'm a magnet for miracles. I'm a magnet for miracles. And like, you don't turn on a magnet by complaining and blaming and, you know, focusing on things outside of yourself. You turn up the magnet by just what you said. Like, I am doing this. I am this, you know, this has happened and I can feel it inside. So I love that she did that. And I'm definitely
Have you seen on TikTok, there's this trend that's called like lucky girl syndrome. And these girls like get on and they like talk about how they're lucky and like, even like little things that happen, you're like, oh my God, I'm so lucky. And you're kind of like putting it out there like, it's this trend that's going on right now. I want to say it's called like lucky girl syndrome. And so different girls are making these videos and like things that happen like, oh my God, like, just so, like anything that happens and just being like, I'm lucky. Like you're putting it out there that like, yeah, like good things and like, you know, like,
yeah. And the more you say
good
it,
things are coming for you.
Yeah. And the more you say it, the more
kind
you
of like
draw it to
acknowledging
you.
things that yeah, like, oh my God, like whatever happened. Oh my gosh, I'm so lucky that this happened. I'm so lucky. And just like, it's fun. It's like, I actually think I might make a video like this. But I keep seeing girls on TikTok doing it and it's cute and kind of goes on the same topic of like what we're saying of just like putting it out there and like claiming that energy of saying like, I'm lucky. Oh my God. Like, I'm so blessed. Like, I know, like, you know, like, claiming that energy.
Yeah. And then like on the other side of the coin, I mean, I'm sure you know somebody like this too, where it's like when something great happens, they're always like, well, yeah, but you know, they're always waiting for the next ball to drop or for something shitty to happen. It's like, oh, this is too good to be true. But you can be, like you said, claim that energy of being like, no, I am lucky. I am abundant. I have these things. I am this. It's like you're your own like cheerleader and player at the same time. And you're not going to get the life that you want by having some of those same loops and those same stories going on. And so I love that. Just like, yeah, I'm so lucky. I always say that to myself. I'm a magnet for miracles. I'm a magnet for miracles. I'm a super attractor, you know, and just like reminding myself that like I'm never doomed and all good things always come to me. And that doesn't mean there aren't hard times. That doesn't mean that you just because you say that you're lucky, like the lucky fairy is just going to tap you on the head and you're going to be lucky all the time. But you're going to look for more. You're going to look for more opportunities that you're lucky. You're going to look for more confirmation of what you're seeing. It's just like if you think people are pieces of shit, you're going to find examples of that all over. If you think that you're lucky, you're going to find examples of that all over. If you think people are great and giving, yes, you're going to find those examples of what you're looking for. And so, yeah, hell yeah, lucky, abundant, whatever that might be. I don't spend a lot of time on TikTok. I've been trying to get a little bit more, especially with wanting to grow my podcast and sharing some clips and things like that from TikTok. But I haven't seen that trend yet. But I think that's really cool because sometimes there's really like, I don't know, stupid, degrading, not uplifting things that are happening on social media just in general. So I always love to tag on to the things that are more uplifting, as I know you do too.
I probably spend a little too much time on TikTok. But I feel like a lot of the people that I follow, like, and happen to be in my For You page, probably because those are the people I'm engaging with, like a lot of like body positive people or whatever. Like, I feel I don't see a lot of, I know there's a lot of negativity on there, but I guess maybe who I'm, you know, interacting with, I'm seeing a lot of those like girls that are kind of spreading that positivity. So,
Yeah,
but I still
that
spend too much
message.
time on there.
I know, right? Sometimes I have to like reel myself in.
I'm
I've been
like,
telling myself 8 to 8. Those are my phone like parameters, like 8 a.m. in the morning. And then I have to put my phone away at 8 o'clock at night.
mhm.
But you know me, sometimes I'm in bed way before that. But I just feel like having some boundaries and parameters is helpful. But 2022 was such a powerful year, I would say, for the both of us. I mean, we've been friends for a really long time, and I
Yeah.
know we've seen each other go through like a lot of different phases of our lives and ourselves and our journeys and all the things. But I think it's so powerful to gather the evidence of our badassness. Like, in 2022,
Mhm.
I can think of like a handful of things that I know you did just from being your friend and observing. But I know like internally, there might have been other things that I didn't notice or whatever that you feel like you really crushed or really accomplished in 2022. And for those of you listening, I want Gia and I to share like a lot of what we went through and things we crushed and moved through and that were maybe hard or amazing, right? Like, yeah, count your blessings, but also count the times that you like armored up and went through the trenches, even when it was hard. And so, yeah, Gia, what would you say are like what's going through your mind when you think of all that you've done and moved through last year in 2022?
So in 2022, I started my clothing line, as you know, but for those listening might not know. So I think that was like, I mean, one of my biggest challenge, but also my biggest accomplishment. And it was, you don't know what it's going to be like when you put it out there, and you have to just keep pushing every day. And so it was, I didn't know really much about like the e-commerce business and the clothing line. I've learned so much from this last year of like how to run a business, it's just like every business is so different. So, yeah, I mean, struggles of like, especially in the beginning, like there's days you don't have sales, and like, how do you push through on those days? There's amazing days, and then, it's a roller coaster. So it's like constantly, like there was days that I like, everything is shit. It's like, I think with every business and everything you do, where you're like, you think everything is great and you think everything is shit, and you go back and forth with that and trying to like fight that every day and like say like, okay, gotta push, gotta just like focus on the things to do rather than like focusing on like, oh, we don't have sales, or like I had returns today. And like, there's like, that was actually something that I never really thought about going in, is like, I thought about people buying the stuff, but I never thought about people returning it. And a lot of small businesses don't offer returns, but that is something I wanted to do because it's a new brand. And with plus size, especially, like it's so hard to, every brand is so different in clothing with any size, really. I think it's figuring out your size, but I do think with plus size, it's harder of like figuring out like, oh, I'm a size 16 in this brand, but like in this one, I'm a 14 or 18 or whatever it is. So I did want people to be able to return. But I remember the first like returns that came through, I was like, oh my God, like they hate it, So it's like, I think that was a struggle of like, just constantly trying to stay focused and like see the end vision and end goal, and like think of like why I started it on the days that were like a struggle for me, or like shit was happening or whatever, whatever was happening that day, trying to like constantly just stay focused instead of looking at, getting down about those things.
Yeah. And I love what you said. You were like, I don't think you said this exact word, but it was like focusing on like the next best action. It's like, okay, yeah, there might have been returns today. There might have been different things that I didn't anticipate as a new business owner and all the things. But I'm going to take the next best action step. I'm going to look at my to-do list. Gia and I were talking about before we hopped on how many tabs we usually have open. And Gia's all, if you want to know what my brain is like, just look at all my tabs. And there was like, 20 tabs opened or whatever. But I think that's helpful. Like for me, it's helpful. I don't feel overwhelmed by the tabs because for me, I know what's opened. And like you said, when you're ready to take that next best action step, it's just like, okay, get out of the fog, get out of maybe some of the limiting beliefs or things we might be telling ourselves that sometimes creep in when, things happen, and just take that next step. What do you do when you feel those feelings of,
I don't know, maybe lack or limiting beliefs. I know we all have them. And what I tell myself is like, these are not my own thoughts. These are just here and they're ready to be like passed through. I try not to dwell in that space a lot, but what helps you what helps you, yeah, when you're in those moments of just like a little bit of sludge or a little bit uncertainty or maybe a little bit of lack of confidence or whatever, like what really helps you move through some of those things being a business owner?
It's hard to say because I don't think there's like an exact formula every day, because some days it's just like I'm in a funk and I'm like, it's hard to pull yourself out. Like if you're just like sales are down or whatever, whatever, like sometimes it's just hard. But I do think that working out keeps me like in a good mental state for the day and gives me like energy. But what happens if I go work out and then I come home and like shit's happening? It's hard. It's like trying to just push through, trying to see the bigger picture, working on things that I know can like help the business. Actually, like today I woke up and I was kind of like in a not great mental health state. And I actually almost texted you and canceled because I was like, how am I going to get on and talk about mental health? And I'm like kind of in a funk right now. And I was like, maybe I'm just not in the place. And then I'm like, okay, maybe it'll make me feel better. So I went and worked out. I like had a late start of my workout, which is why I like trickled down of like not having a lot of time this morning. But I was like, okay, I'm going to go work out. And honestly, that helped me a lot. But then also thinking of like, okay, what are things that I need to accomplish? Like I have a lot of things that I need to accomplish today, and let me focus on those things and getting them done rather than like the things that are not going wrong or the things that like I could sit and stress about. So I'm like, okay, I need to like plan this. I need to do this social media stuff. I need to put together this content. So I think trying to like focus on the things that you need to do and the things that can help you. But it's hard because like, yeah, sometimes, like I said, sometimes you're just in a funk and it's hard to pull yourself out. And you're like,
And I know you have great friends and a great team and a great husband. Do you find it easy or hard to open up and kind of share some of those struggles, mental health stuff, or like your funks? Do you feel like you share your funks or do you feel like you keep them to yourself?
I feel like I keep them to myself. Like Brian, my husband, knows, cause he'll be like, something is wrong with you. Like what's going on? Like it's, like he can usually tell. But yeah, I think it's like hard for me to be like, oh, like I'm really struggling with this or whatever. And like, as the CEO too, if you have people that are working for you, it's hard to like, I can't really also say those things to people that are working for me. Like, I'm stressed and like this is happening and this, like I can't really like call them and be like, bring them down with me. Like I gotta I gotta stay positive and like all the good things. So yeah, I really try to like focus on the good things. Like today, like I'm like, okay, like I need like, we have some like exciting things that are in the works or like going to be happening. And so like, okay, let's, I really see the bigger picture with Gia IRL. And so, yeah, there are times that are like super challenging. But I just have to remind myself of the bigger picture of like making cute shit, making women feel good. Actually, it's funny because Amber and I, as I was driving her to the airport, we were talking about winning the lottery. And she was like, I don't know. I don't know if it's a curse or whatever, but I was like, I don't know. Like what I could do with that money right now. And then I like thought about it. I was like, I would still do Gia IRL because I would just make tons of cute shit. Cause I like me and Allie, like we have so many good ideas and like so many things. We just need like the funds to back it up. So I'm like, that's where I'm kind of struggling. It's like, I need this like capital to take me to the next level. And so I'm like, no. I totally could use that money and I totally would still work and I would still just like make tons of cute shit. I just wouldn't stress about the things that I stress about now.
Yeah. Well, and that's how you know that's your purpose, because you wouldn't change it no matter the circumstances. If you had $1 billion or $0, you'd probably still be in pursuit of helping plus size women find cute clothes that they feel good in and that's good quality and all those things. So I love that you shared that, because sometimes people are like, yeah, I want to win the lottery so I can, quit everything and whatever. And I feel very lucky. And I know that, you probably do too, but that our job is our purpose, right? Like that what we do day to day, like is really why we feel like we're on this earth. And that's not always the case for everybody. Some people, their purpose is one thing, but then the bills got to be paid and they're doing a job that's kind of in a different arena. So I always feel really lucky about that. But I asked you about the reaching out thing, because I'm the same as you, where I'm like not very communicative. I'm more like I go inward, but I've been opening up and sharing to some friends and family members. And it's been really beautiful. And I also want to say thank you to you for sharing what you shared of like, yeah, I wanted to cancel on you, Lunden. I wasn't having a very good mental health day, but I showed up anyways, because that's helpful for me because I have those days too, where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I feel like so overwhelmed. My mental health, am I even qualified as a coach to talk about anything? I'm a loser, like whatever, we have these things. And so knowing that you like showed up today, despite the discomfort, means a lot to me. And I think people listening, we can all resonate with that, where it's like, oh, we want to put our best self forward, and the best is not all of us. There's a lot of different components and a lot of different things. So I appreciate you doing that. And also, I'm trying harder as well to be more vocal and communicative with people that I love, to like ask for help or share like what's really going on. Not everybody. I always call that like the whole enchilada syndrome, where like people go on social media and it's like, like I can't with that. I feel like there's no value in that. I feel like the value is when you've learned something from it and you can share the learning, not just like, spray it on everybody. But I found, like talking it out is really helpful. And I also love when me, you and Allie get together. In fact, I'm going to see you tomorrow, which will be fun, when we get together and we just like hang out and we just like support one another and we just talk about kind of what we're working on and what our goals are. And same, like, we've been friends long enough where I think we can all kind of like tap into each other's energy a little bit to be like, hey, what's up? Are you doing you seem a little bit tired or whatever. And I like what you said too about your employees, because I heard a quote one time that I use with some of my clients that I coach that have team members and stuff. It's like the issues in an organization always are rooted in the psychology at the top. So it's like, however you are, whatever you do to rock your mental health and to work on yourself, that's like the trickle down. So I'm not a proponent of like my boss unloading everything on me and being like, ugh. But it's also helpful too, I think, for them to see you like, in the trenches, like, fuck, this shit's hard, but we're going to keep going, And so maybe some of the verbiage that you would use to like voice your feelings or whatever's going on to like me or Amber or Allie or your husband, like would be different than what you would use with your employees. But it's just nice that everyone kind of, can notice a little bit. And so maybe someone listening, you notice that, there's someone in your life that maybe isn't very vocal about opening up. Like Gia and I are kind of that way. We're just more like Scorpio tenacity. Let's go after it. But maybe if you have a friend where you're like, oh yeah, I can sense something, ask them, just be like, hey, how are you? How can I support you? I think that's one of my favorite questions to ask is how can I support you? Because it's not like what's wrong or what happened or you seem off. It's just like, hey, how can I support you? And I think that's a really good question to ask people when we can tell they're like pushing through a little bit.
Yeah. I love that you always ask that. Like, how can I support you? I
really mean it. I want to support you. I love when all my friends are like, I love that. I've seen a lot of what you've done this year and all, remember the first photo shoot. And I was like, okay, I'll do behind the scenes videos and footage. I looked like I was like on I don't even know, like I was going on a safari or something. I had like my hat. I was like ready to go.
Well, because there's this thing of like when friends are like, hey, like, let me know if you need help. But it's like kind of just like, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like sometimes people just say it to say it like, let me know if there's anything I can do, whatever. Or maybe they're not. But like, I always feel like when you say it, you're like, how can I support you? Like, you always say that. And I'm like, actually, like, do you want to come to the shoot and do behind the scenes? Like, that would actually be amazing. And so I feel like I've taken you up on support because it feels like it's coming from a genuine place of like, hey, like, I'm not just like saying like, oh, like, let me know if you need anything or like, you know, and not that people don't necessarily need that, but people kind of just say that like, kind of like, well, let's get together, you know, that whole thing of like, but they're not like actually like taking those actions. And so, yeah, that's always nice when you say that. Cause I'm like, it is hard for me to ask for help. So I'm like, actually, if you could come down and you could do this, and like, you totally like took charge, you took the lunch order, you went, you like made sure everyone got their lunch, and like me and you ran to Sweet Green and like we were like handling shit. And yeah, that was amazing. Just like having you guys there, just like having all that support like at that shoot was so great.
Yeah. And
so yeah, I was really appreciate that.
Yeah, I really do love the energy when you and I get to collaborate, like not just as friends, but like other, like, you know, work stuff, like when we did that for your shoot or whatever. I feel like you're one of those. I'm trying to, I don't want to say I'm trying to eliminate the ones that are not that way, because that's not true. I'm just trying to spend more time with the ones that are that way, where like you're very much like, we maybe sulk a little bit for a moment when something might be off, but we're always like trying to find a way. We're always trying to like upbeat the energy a little bit, or up level the energy, or find a way. Or even if we're like at the end of the day, I don't know, super exhausted, have done all the things. I love that about our friendship, because there's sometimes friends where like, they just kind of come around when things are shitty, and they want to talk about the shitty things, and they want to talk about like when you're down, or they maybe want to marinate and like, oh yeah, you had returns today and and I'm like, we're like, no, bigger picture, like, you know, it'll come. Like, I love people that are like that. And especially when I've moved back from Austria back to America and started to re-engage with friends that I didn't really engage with, let's say regularly. I still talk to them. They're still my friends, but it's now I'm observing. I'm like, yeah, there's some friends that are just like literally Debbie Downers or negative Nancy's. And I'm just like, no, I want the uplifting, positive energy. Yes, I do want to share when I'm having tough times with you, but I want you to be like lighting a fire under my ass. Like, I want you to be like reminding me like who the fuck I am, you know, not like pulling me down like weights with you down to where you're at, you know? So I've been really kind of observing my relationships, and I'm thankful for that too. So thank you.
Hey, really quick, I want to interrupt the podcast for just a minute to tell you about one of my favorite supplements for hair, skin, nails, digestive, and gut health. And that is Snap Supplements Super Greens with Collagen. Now, if you're following me on social media, you've probably seen me post about this a bunch, because honestly, this product tastes amazing and it's jam-packed with nutrients, like I said, to support healthy hair, skin, and nails. It helps support detoxification, a healthy immune system, and there's even probiotics in there for a healthy gut. It's non-GMO, no sugar added, soy-free, grass-fed collagen, and every scoop is going to give you 7 grams of protein. And this is why I love it, because it's not like a protein shake. It's just a scoop of powder. It tastes amazing. I put it in water, or if I want more hydration, I'll put it in coconut water and mix it up. And it's like having a nice, refreshing beverage that's packed with a bunch of super greens and protein. So what I'm super excited about is that for listening to the podcast, you'll get this discount here, nowhere else, but for listening to the podcast. You can save 25% off on all your Snap supplement purchases, including the Super Greens with Collagen. And you do that by using code Lunden25 at checkout. That's LUNDEN 25. LUNDEN 25 to get 25% off at checkout. You can shop on snapsupplements.com, or you can shop on my website, lifelikelondon.com/supplements. And you'll see there's already an additional 10% taken off. But you, because you're a podcast listener, you're going to get 25% off when you use the code Lunden25 at checkout. LUNDEN 25 at checkout to get your Snap Supplements, Super Greens, and Collagen, and all your Snap supplements for 25% off. Now, let's get back to the show.
In addition to launching your own clothing line and all that comes along with it, and it's not just you throw, you know, like a brand out there. There's so much that you learned, but you got married, planned a wedding, all these things. Like, what else? What else did 2022 bring for you?
2022, oh my gosh. And like, those obviously are like the things that stand out.
And those are major. I mean, your wedding was so much fun. It was like small and intimate and beautiful and wonderful. And you were like planning that while launching a clothing line. In fact, that's what we talked about for most of it in our last podcast episode. So it's just like looking back now, are you kind of like, holy shit, I'm pretty badass. How did I do that? Or are you just kind of like, yep, I did that. What does that feel like as Gia?
I feel like am I allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah, I've already said cussed a bunch already. We'll put the explicit sign on this podcast episode.
After I've already said every word, am I allowed to cuss in here? I don't know how the fuck I did it. Like, honestly, like I was just talking about this the other night. I know that I thrive in that environment of like being busy. Like that's where I thrive. But yeah, sometimes I'm like, how the hell did I do this? I do not know, because I also at one point was planning my honeymoon and my wedding and running the business and getting the business set up that I could take a couple weeks off for my honeymoon. Yeah, I don't know how the hell I did it. And like a lot of people, like here I am talking about TikTok again, but there's this community of wedding TikTok and like bridal TikTok where there's a lot of brides and like they're like, I don't know what to do with my life now that the wedding is over and I have nothing to plan. And I'm like, I don't know how the hell I managed to like plan that in addition to everything else. Like now I'm just like, I mean, I have more time to focus on Gia IRL, but like somehow I was doing it all. And just like in the evenings, I would plan the honeymoon and like, I don't know, somehow by the grace of God, I literally do not know how I did it, but I did it. I'm a boss. I know. And
I love that self-evidence though, because there's been moments in my life too, even in the last couple of years where I feel the same, where I'm like, how did I even like wake up in the morning and like get up on my own 2 feet, let alone, rebuild my business, build all these different partnerships, continue my podcast, like all these different things. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't know. It wasn't me. It was something working and moving through me for a greater purpose. Yeah. Because if it was just me, like, no way, no way. And I think, it's cool because I was reading this morning. I love to journal. So I'm going to advocate that you do a lot more journaling this year, Gia, because it's so helpful. But I was reading through my journal from last year where I was like, oh my gosh, just like, yeah, a lot of challenges when I moved back from America, even though that wasn't this past year. I feel like there was a lot of healing that happened this year for me in 2022. So last year. And I was looking through my journal and just like, yeah, days like you mentioned today where you're just not feeling it, where you just feel just like overwhelmed. And sometimes I felt like overwhelmed and underqualified, this like, comparison trap, these like analysis per all these different things. And so I think it's great too. And I do love social media, even though I'm not on TikTok a ton, I'm on Instagram and I love to look left and right for inspiration, right? There's so many motivational, inspirational people in our lives, but I feel like nothing's as motivating as our own personal evidence, like going back to my journal and being like, oh, I was really sad during that time. And I felt very, helpless and just lonely or whatever it might be. And now I don't even recognize those feelings anymore because I moved past that and I drew a different life to me, So it was nice to go back and like look at that evidence and just be like, wow, if I have a tough time again, I can go back and look through that and have, a book full of written bullet points or journal entries or whatever to be like, oh yeah, I've done that before. I can do it again. It might not be the exact same thing, but it's proof that you've done something hard and that you can do it again. And so I kind of look back at 2022 with similar lenses that you do, where I'm just like, how did I do that? And then with all the travel and my new relationship that I'm in and going back and forth, East Coast, West Coast, running my business, wanting to grow my podcast, jumping into a new program, a business coaching program. Like I have that kind of, wow, I want to congratulate myself. And so maybe some of you listening, it's like, make your evidence list, look at what you've accomplished and what you've moved through, no matter how big or how small, and congratulate yourself a little bit. One of the things I put on my goals for 2023 is to like celebrate myself quarterly. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I might go get a massage. I might just decide I'm going to go for a hike and that's my celebration of me, but something that I do alone. So not like I'm going to invite my friends, come celebrate me every quarter. And I don't really want that. I just am like, I want to celebrate me, whatever that is. I just want one day or one activity or whatever I do to be like, hey, great job, self. Like you're doing such a great job. And I didn't do that enough last year. Last year just like flew by. And before I knew it, I was like beating myself up over all the things I need to learn and need to get done and all the things that I just forgot. Like, girl, you did so much. Like you should be so proud. I feel like we need to celebrate ourselves more. Maybe we can hold each other accountable to that next year, this year.
One thing you did do is like when you hit 100 or you were about to hit 100 episodes, I think, you reached out and you're like, hey, you guys, to me and Allie, like I'm hitting 100 episodes or about to or whatever. And you're like, I really want to like celebrate and go to dinner. And I loved that because that's a huge accomplishment. But everyone has their own lives and their own things. And like, of course, we're like, that's great. But like, I wouldn't have taken the time out, not because I'm not a good friend, but because I didn't know that you wanted to like go out to dinner and celebrate that. So I love that you asked us because hell yeah, let's go celebrate that. Let's go out to eat, go whatever you want to do. Like we had a whole, like a fun little night.
Yeah, it was fun. I remember reaching out. I remember reaching out and being like, not thinking it was weird, but it was very, very, very out of character for me. But I think sometimes to your point of like what you mentioned in the beginning, like acting as if it's like, okay, well, if I want to be celebrated the way that I like to celebrate my friends, I should just ask like, hey, can we celebrate me today? And I remember we're like, yeah, let's get ready. Let's go out to dinner. But then we ended up just ordering takeout at Allie's house and chilling. And that was fun. And I was like, it didn't need to be something different. It's just like the intention was different. It was like today, even though we hang out and have gone to dinner a million times, it's just like, this intention for this dinner is to celebrate the 100 episodes. Because I remember being so excited and learning that most podcasts don't make it to episode 10. Most podcasts stop. It's called pod fade and people just aren't consistent. And I know there was periods of time when I moved back to America where I stopped podcasting for like 2 months and then I picked it back up. But I was just, really proud of my consistency and just really proud of like, damn girl, you have a lot to talk about, or there's, you're good at this. That's how I felt. I was like, I'm kind of good at this. Like I feel confident in my ability to continuously host a podcast and provide value. And so, that was a fun little celebration. And I think it's nice to do that. So in 2023, we have to reach out. I mean, I know I'm going to see you tomorrow and we always like make plans periodically to hang out and spend time together. But I think we really have to think about what things we can celebrate for one another too, even if it's just like little small things, just figuring out like how we can clap for our damn selves sometimes.
Yeah, we should tomorrow, and let's not tell Allie till in the moment, but we should all decide something we're celebrating tomorrow.
Oh, okay, moment. Cool. In the moment. Okay, but I won't think of anything yet until we sit down. I won't plan. You come with extravagant. We're like me and you come with our extravagant answers, and Allie's like, "Why didn't you prepare me?"
She's like,
Yeah, no. Yeah, Allie's in a new relationship, so maybe she wants to celebrate that.
Yeah, she has a lot to celebrate. Yeah, I do think like celebrating every win is important. And like, I would never, well, I don't want to say would never because now you inspired me, but like in the past, I wouldn't have been like, hey, like, do you guys want to celebrate this with me? But I love that you asked me because like I said, I was like so excited to do that with you. But I think that's something that I like took from you is like, I want to be able to, like, I want to ask somebody like, hey, can we celebrate this? And actually I saw somebody that had so they got a new job and they bought themselves a cake and said like, I don't know if I saved this or not, but it was like, congratulations on your new job, whatever. And like celebrated themselves with a cake. And I thought that was cute. And Brian actually started a new job today. And I was like, oh, like, I'm not going to go get him like a whole ass cake, but,
give him but girl, here you go.
No, but I was like, I want to get him like something to just be like, hey, I'm proud of you. Like, that's great that you did this, you got a new job. Like, and so I don't even know what time he's off, but Now I
Yeah,
have
it
to
feels good. It feels good to be recognized. And I'm sure whatever you do, even if it's just like celebrating him and focusing on him when he comes home, is helpful. Like it feels so good to be recognized and to be celebrated. And we have to remember too, like I think with friends, like it's different. I mean, you and Brian live together, you're married, you know what's going on day to day and that he started his new job and whatever. But even though you and I are close friends and I have other close friends, it's like, you guys don't always know that it's 100 episodes that I accomplished this or whatever. So instead of feeling like stuck and frustrated, like, oh, no one's, recognizing me or celebrating me for what I'm doing and look at me over here. No, it's like, well, ask for it. And that was like weird for me too. It felt a little foreign, but I'm like, that was fun. And now look, tomorrow when we hang out, we're going to all celebrate and choose something. And I think that's just so powerful. And I like those connections because I'm just sick of of course I love to have fun and be stupid and be with the people that you love. But it's just like, I don't want to be in the friendships where, we're talking about everything that's going on in the world that has nothing to do with us, like pop culture. Not that that's not important. It's just like, I like having friendships where it's like, yeah, we can talk about every day, let's say air quotes, normal things, but I like taking that next step and going deeper and asking the tough questions or celebrating the triumphs and all those things because I don't want to be I don't know, basic friendships, basic conversations. Sometimes I feel like I'm I don't know if I belong in this scenario. I don't really know how to contribute to I don't know, the complaining, or people like to complain a lot about what's going on in their life. And sometimes I just listen because I'm like, I don't want to be in a space where I'm complaining. Yeah, I have things in my life I'm working towards, but it's not of interest for me to just list off all the things that are sucking in my life right now. So I love that about our friendships because they're just more they have more substance. More substance.
Yeah. More substance. More substance 2023.
Yeah. More legal substances in 2023.
And illegal. Well, actually, no. Legal. Right? We'll keep it legal.
Legal and illegal substances in 2023, depending on where you live.
Depending on where you live.
Right? Depending on where you live. When you and I decided to do this podcast episode, we were texting back and forth about, it wasn't New Year yet. It was still December. And we were just, kind of sharing things have been really tough. And for me, I was going back and forth from California and North Carolina and traveling a lot. And this year, 2023 is going to be no different because I signed on for a business coaching program that I have to travel a lot for as well. But you and I were talking about that. And what I realized about myself is I was not moving regularly, not working out consistently enough. I was eating healthy at gas stations, pretty much in airports. It was the healthiest chip options and nuts that you can find, and I just wasn't nourishing my body. And I could feel, for the first time in a long time, I could really feel oh shit, girl, you were not really taking care of yourself in a good way. I wasn't taking my supplements regularly. I was would forget to buy them or grab them. I didn't have everything that I needed. I was a little bit more flighty. I wasn't, focused on a lot of those things because I was I'm feeling good, look good, whatever. But I realized like I've always said, it's not about really what you look like. It's really about what you feel like. And so there was a few weeks in December where I was just man, beating myself up. My thoughts, my journal entries, I read them this morning too. And I'm oh my gosh, poor self. I was really beating up on myself because I wasn't taking care of myself. And it was hard to pull myself out of that loop. I had to really, I was sharing some with my boyfriend and he's a doctor. So he was able to provide the emotional support, but also the physical support. Hey, maybe you should up your magnesium and make sure you're doing IV hydration therapy because it seems like you're just malnourished. You haven't been eating really nourishing foods. And so that was just, an example of, just not feeling my absolute best. And so you and I were texting about that. And I think you mentioned it already before, the power of movement when it comes to your mental health and taking that next best action just so that you can start to feel a little bit accomplished. What else would you add? Is there anything else you would add? Or do you feel like those are two of your most powerful tools when it comes to mental health?
I think the movement, working out, helps me so much. I always try to stress to people about the mental health and just even for me, a routine. So I know I normally go to this class, I come home, I make my eggs. I have a routine and I'm very much of do the same thing. Like, obviously my days change so much day to day, like running a business and managing different careers and all that. But like the routine of like, it keeps me in a routine of like, go to the gym, come home, make my breakfast, do my emails, and then like get my day started. So I do feel like working out. And if I wake up in a funk and I'm able to push myself through and just go work out, I feel so much better. And the eating healthy foods, actually, like as you were speaking, I was thinking like, I need to go today and just like go to the store and just like make a big salad of like vegetables and just like something really nutritious. I've been feeling like that too. Just not even like eating bad things, but like maybe just like you said, you're living like at a gas station or just running and grabbing this and you're busy and you're like, like I feel like I need like something like really nutritious right now.
Yeah. And what helps too, or what was helpful also is like when you look up like what's in season too. In California, we have a lot that's in season year round just because of the weather, especially Southern California. But so it's like more winter time. So more, like sweet potatoes and kale. I had some the other day and it just, it felt so nourishing. And also like sitting down and being present with my food. I can't tell you how many meals I had, like stuffing my face with like chips and nuts, running into the next airplane, jumping into an Uber, like just so on the go and being able to like, just be present, even just with one meal a day. Cause I mean, we have our thing, our schedule's full. We have a lot going on. I always try to be like, okay, at least one meal a day, if not all, right? I want all of them to be, but it just isn't always like that. But to be able just to like sit and focus and nourish our body and chew the food. And like when we swallow it, have some gratitude there, not just like thinking about the next thing. Yeah. I feel like that's been really helpful. And exercise too. There was one time I was in North Carolina and I just had a lot going on and I could start to feel kind of like the precursors of an anxiety attack come. And my boyfriend was like, you need to move, go upstairs and do burpees. And that's literally what I did. I just set my timer for 5 minutes and I just did burpees, like not the entire 5 minutes. Obviously I rested, but getting that sweat in and getting my heart rate up. And then after it was over, I was like, oh my gosh, like I appreciate that because sometimes we need that reminder from people around us. Of course, I know that movement helps. I know I feel good after a workout, but sometimes when we're in that moment of just feeling like in a funk or anxious thoughts and feelings creeping up, sometimes like, at least when I feel those feelings, I have like an inability to decide. I'm like, I don't know what to do next. Like I'm like stuck. And so for him to really be able to nudge me in that direction of being like, go move, like go do some burpees, just get your heart rate up, get a little bit of a sweat going and see how you feel. And it was so helpful. And it was only 5 minutes. It wasn't like go to the gym and do an hour-long workout and have it structured and perfect. It was just like, get your body moving and get your body sweating. I feel like when those types of feelings, more anxious feelings come up, a walk is helpful, but not as helpful as like a run or high intensity, something that really forces you just to like let loose for a while. And so I'm grateful for my boyfriend, for relationships and friendships like yours, where we just are like always in, we're just like always in each other's lives in the sense that we'll always nudge each other in the direction that we feel like each other needs to go, or always be there to help each other if someone needs support. And with our mental health, it can be challenging, but I'm the same as you, where it's like those habits and routines, oh my gosh, are so helpful. And I want to be flexible. Like you said, we have a lot going on, manage wearing different hats, so it's not like every single day is the exact same, but at least like the bookends are the same. So it's like what we do in the morning and what we kind of wrap up and do in the evening, I feel like helps so much. And developing those routines for me in California and then developing them in North Carolina and then developing them when I'm on the go, even though they're kind of similar, it took some intention. I had to be like, okay, what does my morning look like when I'm in a hotel and I have access to this? What does my morning look like when I'm in California? What does it look like when I'm in North Carolina? So it's not always a one size fits all approach either, but those routines, coming back to them and asking yourself, okay, like what's that next best action step? What can I put on my routines to help? Oh, it makes a world of difference. I love habits and routines.
Yeah, same. And I also think, especially this time of year, not everybody, I don't want to say that. A lot of people are starting a workout routine to lose weight, which is totally fine. But I think for some people that can be intimidating or it can create an unhealthy habit. Like I know for a friend of mine, she was like, we were talking about working out, and I told her, like, she's like, sometimes it just starts getting really unhealthy because then all I'm thinking about is losing weight. And I'm like, literally only think about your mental health. That's it. Just think about how you feel and don't even go into it as a weight loss thing, which if you do, that's fine. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying, like, if you just want to create that daily movement and habit, like, just go into it. Just literally just think about your mental health and start that way. Rather than making it like, just like, cause it can get like unhealthy or like obsessive if you're just like, I have to do this, I have, so just like go in, take it easy, especially this time of year. If like you're just getting into working out or movement, like just go in, be easy on yourself, take it easy. Don't worry about people around you. Even if you just go in and walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes and that's your movement, just like start slow and just like get in there. And don't stress about those other things.
Yeah, really focus on the feeling that you get after a good workout, because it's such a good feeling. And if your habit is just to work out and then step on the scale and like, what happened, that's going to be kind of a setup for upset, because afterwards, you're always going to have some sort of feeling that you're like, oh yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling energized, focused, clear, satisfied, proud of myself. There's so many great feelings that come up when we get to move. And so I love that you mentioned that too, because some people are like, go hard in the paint, gung ho when it comes to this time of year doing that. But I found, that happy medium 3 to 4 times a week of intensity for me, and then walking and movement and all of that feels really good. And I've been on the other end of the spectrum too, where it's like, if you don't do 6 days a week, you're like not good enough. And it's like, for what? Yeah. And I love that you mentioned the answer actually is, at least for me, is my mental health, my mental capacity also. Yeah. Like, I want to lead teams. I want my podcast to continue to grow. Like, I want to keep making those connections. I want to keep growing my business. Like, all of that for me is like, so much better for the benefits. Cause it's like, I don't want to like, who cares what you look like? That's what I'm going to say.
I've been trying to like really listen to my body more. And like, some days I'm like, I just feel like going to do a yoga class or whatever. Like, I don't want to do burpees like today. You know what I mean? Like, which if you do, that's great. But just like some days I'm just like, I don't feel like that. Like, I feel I want to do some kind of movement, but I don't want to go do 100 burpees. So it's just like, I've been trying to like listen to myself more and, or like, listen to my body more, and like maybe just go do a hot yoga class or yoga, or like maybe stretch, just trying to be more with myself instead of just like, go, like 7 a.m., go to your, you know what I mean? And it's like, today, like even in my class, like sometimes they're like, there's like an option, like if you want to do the jump squats, or if you just want to like just do the squat and take the jump out. And some days I'm like, I feel like I just want to squat it out. I don't want to do the jump today. And like, that's okay. So trying to listen to my body more and not just be like, you have to do it.
Yeah. And I feel like, yes, listening to your body more. And then also, I just feel like right now I want to ask you this question too, but in 2023, I'm just really craving the momentum, and I haven't ran in a while, but I'm like, I really want to run and do more yoga, because for me, that's how I feel like the most momentum and like flexibility. So I also like matching my workouts to kind of where I am in my day or in my life in general, because it really is a powerful tool to like catapult our goals forward that have nothing to do with weight loss goals or whatever, things like that. I always just feel like you said, it's like sometimes we feel stagnant and stuck maybe in our personal or professional lives. So I just love doing yoga for that. Sometimes we feel a little closed off or maybe sad. I love like all the heart opening exercises and things you get to do in yoga. So I think being a bit more intentional with our workouts and like when we do them and listening to our body. And that comes with, my boyfriend always says easy is earned. So it's like that comes with the time that you and I have spent working out and trying new things to really be like, okay, I can easily choose what works for me because we've kind of put in the groundwork there. And so I think that's something I'm really grateful for too. And even if you guys someone listening is just starting today, no big deal. Everybody has their starting point, but you have to get to that point where you earn your easy, because it's not always super easy with anything, right? With our habits, routines, with our mental health, with our physical health, all those things. We have to put in the repetitions to get those goals and results. What would you say is what I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said, I love that. Easy as earned.
Mm-hmm. I have a shirt that says it too. I'll get you one there. It's cute. It's like
I'm
a
going to have a
shirt. I love it. And I wear the shirt a lot and people comment on it. They're like, oh, I like that. I like that. I'm like, yeah, I like it too. Yeah. I'm so excited that you came and talked with me today. I don't want to keep you too much longer because I know you have a lot to crush out today.
Yeah,
but what?
Okay. You were asking. What? Yeah. What were you asking me?
I was going to ask, what are you most looking forward to in 2023? Or what do you want to most squeeze the juice out of in 2023? Is there a word or a feeling or a particular goal that I know you mentioned wanting to do a little bit more of a clarity goal setting session, but thinking right now, what is really 2023 is definitely going to have more of this in my life. What would that be?
I don't know. That's what I feel like. Yeah, I need to sit down and think. I think I'm only thinking about business goals and this. So I really need to sit down and be okay, what is that? What is that goal? I can't really fully answer that. I might have to come back to that one.
Cool. Yeah, no big deal. I mean, we don't always have questions right away.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Cool.
I'm going to have to do a journaling session and write down my goals and get back to you.
Yeah. When you figure it out, tell me, because I want to know. I want to support you. But I think it's important to think about what we do want, because sometimes a lot of people can focus on what they don't want. It's well, yeah, I don't want it to be like this and I don't want this to happen. And I think the clarity on what we do want is also kind of the pump up for the magnet as well. So I'm excited for you to share it with us, and then we'll update our listeners on what your
and I think that I've been so stuck in just thinking business goals, but I need to think of some personal, just for me and what I want out of this next year.
Yeah, I know, right? I feel you there too, with a lot of stuff being more work and business focused and wanting to branch out a little bit and be okay, yeah, that's a big part of me and totally who I am at my core. And I have other components of my life too that also need nurturing and loving and things like that.
I do know for my own personal brand of online and stuff, I want to show more of my personality and realness this year. So maybe that will be one of the words I can give you is real, raw, just more realness. I feel I don't show my personality enough, and just kind of giving people the real instead of just a pretty picture here and there is nice, but I want to show more of me this year. Yeah.
I want more of you too. And it's cool because as friends, it's we know one side of each other, and then we know the side we show on social media. And I would say I feel so much realness from you. I mean, I always follow everything that you're doing. And when you're talking, I always feel it's just like you and I talking. And I also know that feeling of being okay, if I'm going to be on social media and I'm going to run my shit on this space, I want to really feel I can, because then I feel that also heightens the magnet a little bit too. But, I also think it's important to keep certain things to ourselves and keep, like I said, sometimes there's the whole enchilada thing. So I think it's nice to find that realness that also helps people and provides value and gives people a bigger insight into, how amazing you are. But I'm so grateful that you could be here today on the podcast. I always love talking to you, and I'm excited to hang out tomorrow. Anything you want to sign off with? Let people know where you are. I mean, I know you said you love your TikTok, so where can everybody find you on social media and stuff?
So I am on Instagram and TikTok, just at Gia Sinatra. And, my clothing line is at Gia _IRL on TikTok and Instagram. So follow me there, and you're going to see more realness 2023.
Yes, I love that. I'll put all those handles and links and stuff in the description. Thank you, Gia, for your love and your light and your friendship and for your time today. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Self-Love and Sweat, the podcast. Hey, do me a favor. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, give us a review. This really helps a lot. And share this with a friend. I'm only one person, and with your help, we can really spread the message of self-love and sweat and change more lives all around the world. I'm Lunden Souza, reminding you that you deserve a life full of passion, presence, and purpose, fueled by self-love and sweat. This podcast is a Hit Spot Austria production.